Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6 Thoughts video. I just finished watching the final episode of Game of Thrones. That's right, we're not getting any more after this one. And I just want to share my general thoughts after having finished the series. We're done the series, we're done it all. We know who's on the Iron Throne, which is, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, but you should be watching this video if you haven't. But spoiler alert, there is no more Iron Throne technically, but there is kind of a king of the Six Kingdoms now. But yeah, so I'm just going to be getting into my general thoughts about this episode, some of the parts I liked, and just my general thoughts about how they ended off this series. So yeah, some of the first things I like is the scene where we have Tyrion finding his dead siblings. I like that they actually show us their bodies, so as morbid as that sounds, but I like the confirmation a little bit. Some people were like, oh, what if they survived? What if they got under a dragon skull? They didn't, but I thought that scene was really well shot and gave us a really great moment with Tyrion and seeing this side where he's just like, he can't take it from Daenerys anymore, and then he ends up, even quitting as her hand. So I really enjoyed that, but I enjoyed that scene with him finding his dead siblings. I thought it was just a really well done scene, and you really showed like the Peter Dinklage like acting range. I thought he just did a really great job. I believed he lost two siblings in that, so I thought that was really great. Daenerys' speech where she's telling all her soldiers what a great job they did and how they're gonna go take over the rest of the world, and that in turn is breaking the wheel when everyone's free to be under her control. I don't understand how she can give that speech and not quite understand how she's just replacing the people that she's then who she's setting people free from. That part I felt it felt weird in a sense that she's just like, it fits the fact like this turn she's taken where she doesn't see herself as the villain. She doesn't see her actions as bad. She only sees the fact that she's released a lot of people from a lot of bad people so far, but we also see that she kind of crossed the line in the last episode, and Jon and Tyrion are not okay with that, and which leads to Jon and Daenerys talking, which leads to Jon killing her, which I half was expecting, but I also didn't expect at the same time. I don't know. It both didn't surprise me, but kind of surprised me in the way it kind of played out. I thought it might take a little more of the episode, I guess, or a little bit more back and forth. But after the speech that after the conversation those two have, it does become pretty clear to Jon that she's not going to stop anytime soon, and that this is kind of the only way to stop her. But yeah, so the fact that Jon ends up killing her, I thought there was going to be more consequences for Jon. I thought Drogon, the dragon, I thought the dragon was going to kill him, which I think we're supposed to think when it's, loading up the fire to burn the Iron Throne. I definitely thought the dragon was going to eat him or do something, anything. At one point, after Drogon melted the Iron Throne, I was like, is he going to throw Daenerys on that? Daenerys is going to come back to life? That I would like. That I would have loved in this show as a big shocker, something I would not have expected. But he just flew off with her body, which I thought was a little ominous, a little bit like, okay, that's the one like loose thread a little bit in this episode I felt was kind of left hanging. It's like, where'd the dragon go? What do you do with the body? Is she going to come back? I don't think she could come back. But could she? We've met a lot of characters. She was killed by a man who came back from the dead. So it's like, well, that's the one loose thread I feel it's in this. Is like, well, where'd he go with her body? What's the dragon going to go do? There's still magic in this world, I think. I don't know. That's the one little thing I was like, okay, but I do like that he did torch the Iron Throne. I thought it kind of showed that there was definitely some connection between Daenerys and Drogon that goes beyond just, being able to control the dragon, where the dragon kind of knew that thing was the cause of all of this trouble, I imagine. Or maybe that's what we're supposed to just think, because the writers wanted the dragon to have some kind of explosive kind of reaction to Daenerys dying. But I still enjoyed it nonetheless, and I'm kind of that little thread of like, what did he go do with the body? Is he going to go bury her? And then at the very end, this is kind of hopping all around, but at the very end, Bran mentions, well, he'll look into where the dragon went. I'm like, well, you couldn't have shown that? I would like to know what was going on with the dragon. But yeah, that's one little thing. And some of the other parts, it seems this episode confused me a little bit, because it seemed like winter was happening in King's Landing, but at the same time, I was like, this could also be a lot of ash, but it also it went back and forth. Like one time, I'm like, okay, this could all be ash, but it also looks like it's snowing. Did winter finally get to King's Landing? Because it seemed to have been taking a while, but that part I found a little bit interesting. But yeah, what are some of the other things? Oh, I really enjoy the council of all the lords and ladies of Winterfell. They get together to discuss who's going to be, first to discuss what the fate of Tyrion and Jon will be, and then which leads to them having to decide on who a king will be. In that scene, I really like. At one point, a song says, "Uncle stands up and tries to throw his hat in the ring to be king," and she's just like, "Uncle, please sit down." And he just looks around, and nobody questions her, and he gets this like, "Oh, you guys don't respect me enough to be king." And I just thought that was really funny because I don't even know that character's name, so just a little funny little thing. And you see that, nobody even questions song. So when she tells him to sit down, I was like, showing you're a badass. But yeah, speaking of them trying to pick who the king was, I love that they have Sam suggest democracy. That shocked me, the fact that democracy was even brought up, the idea of democracy, at least. He doesn't say democracy, but he brings up the idea, the concept of democracy. And for like a second, I'm like, oh, is this show going to do that? Is it going to say, fuck this Iron Throne shit and just elect somebody? And then all the lords and ladies all the lords and knights laughed at him, and I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense. You don't ask the nobles if they want to give up their power to the general folk. That's not who you propose that question to, even though you had a good thought in mind, good intentions behind it, Sam. These weren't the right people to suggest it to. But I do like that they all kind of laugh in his face, because it's, that's what they would do. Noblemen would laugh in your face if you try to suggest democracy. But I like that they still added it in there. And then it ends up being that Tyrion suggests Bran to be king, which I thought that was a little left field for me. That was one of the probably biggest shockers about this episode. I at no point thought that he would be the one who ends up on as the king of the Six Kingdoms, because Sansa's like, yeah, no, the North is going to stay our own thing. And I think that's mainly because she wasn't elected to be king, or queen in this case, of all the kingdoms. She's like, fine, I'm just going to take my own. She does say it's because the North it's always been free and they want to remain free. And that's good and all, but I think it's mainly because she wanted all 7 thrones. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that they picked Bran. It obviously makes sense. He fits in line with it. He's the Stark, and he's a male, which in this universe at least they kind of favor that. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what happens in this universe, in the Game of Thrones universe. But I did think it was like I said, it was a shock for me that it was Bran who they end up choosing to be king and becoming king, especially since, well, Bran's known this whole time that he was going to be king, and he's kept quiet about it. He's kept that on the DL. Everyone else was jockeying for it. Everyone else was fighting and killing people for it. He was chilling in his wheelchair and knew the whole time he'd be the one who gets to wear the crown at the end. And I respect that. I respect that, Bran. You go get him, Three-Eyed Raven. Kill it. And, so I really like that. And I like that he then picks Tyrion to be his hand, because Tyrion doesn't want to be, and he's got to kind of make penance. It's kind of like that Tyrion has to stick around and be another king's hand or another queen's hand in this, or another, so I thought that was just a little thing. We end up getting songs as Queen of the North, which that definitely didn't surprise me at all. I've been waiting for that to happen for a very long time. I don't think anybody was really surprised, but it was nice to see that it happened, and nobody was really arguing with her about it. They just kind of all agreed, yeah, you deserve it. What else? We get Jon gets sent back to the King's Watch, which it's very kind of, he ends back where he kind of started at the beginning of the show. But it's nice that him and the North guy reunite, and he gets reunited with his dogs. That was really nice. Arya's off to explore what's west of Westeros, which they don't know what that is, which I believe is America. If I remember how this takes place, really, I don't know. She's off to explore the unknown, which I feel like is a nice open kind of way to leave her character off, and makes kind of sense. She's never stuck in one place throughout this whole series. Why would she start now? She's got that wanderlust. What else? Tyrion's hand to the king, and I already mentioned that. Oh, at the end, when they have one of the meetings of all the new advisors of Bran, they walk in with a history of pretty much the whole show, called A Song of Fire and Ice, And I love that kind of garbage. It was stupid. I'm sure that's just something the writers thought was clever and fun to put in, and I freaking love it. It's so obvious, it's on the nose, but why not? Just why not? I enjoy those little kind of like gimmies, little like kind of things, and the fact that they throw in the little detail that Tyrion's missing from it. I don't know if that's a thing about his character not being in the books or not, or if it was just a jab at him just before the end of the show. But I just thought that was interesting. Be sure to let me know in the comments below if you know if that was something that, like a reference to the fact that he's not actually in the books or not, because I don't know. I haven't gotten to reading the books now. That'll happen eventually. But yeah, overall, my general thoughts is I thought that this was a pretty good way to end off this season and the series. It didn't shock or surprise me as much as I thought it would. Like I said, the biggest surprise for me was that Bran ends up being the one who ends up king out of everybody. But the other biggest shock for me, I guess, is that we didn't lose more of the main characters. I thought we were going to lose maybe Tyrion or Jon, maybe Arya in there, someone. We only ended up losing like Dany, and then the Lannister siblings. And that's pretty much it with like the main cast, like the head ones who we all were kind of like betting on, I think, at least to die. I definitely thought we were going to lose a lot more characters than we did by the end, but that's also kind of nice that we got to see a bunch of them kind of go off into the sunset. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy the episode. I just don't think it brought as many surprises as the show has been known to do. But that could also be my own expectations being off. But overall, I really enjoyed how it ended. There were no big cliffhangers except for that thing I said about Dany's body, but that's just me being picky. She's dead. I just have to kind of accept that. And he just flew off, and the dragon flew off mourning. But yeah, there's no big cliffhangers, which I appreciate for a series ender. Don't leave me with some like big questions. This one left me like, yep, they're all just going on, and I kind of enjoyed that that's how it ended. But yeah, that's all my general thoughts for this last episode of Game of Thrones. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of this final episode, how you felt they ended off the series, just your general thoughts. Thanks again for joining me today. Sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good one.